Yo,
Yo,
what's good, bro? My God, I was muted this whole time. I'm so sorry, guys. Appreciate y'all. If I got to do a quick roll call again, I'll have to edit this later. Dan, JP, Chris, Herman, David's on. The Hammerette Sarah's in here. Nick, number 1, 2, Tree, Redbone, Martin, JD, AJ, Chris, Martin, my neighbor from across the pond. Hug D's, what's good, brother? Nick, who else? Mex, Al Haggerty, Raider Rudy, E. Lee, Mario, AJ, Hoofy. I think we're good. Can you guys hear me now? Are we good? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Sorry about that. You know, I normally mute myself when we do the our intro, but I apologize for that. Look, there's a lot to talk about. This is a great weekend. I'm very happy with the draft class, and we're going to go through everything. We're going to go through each draft pick. We'll talk about the UDFAs at the end. Salute to David Zahn on the 199. Mute is on, but I apologize, guys. I apologize. But now we're all good, so I appreciate that. Joe, what's good with you, man?
man, trying to get my bearings from this weekend, brother. It was a long 2-3 days, but love the fact that I love the draft, so it was well worth it. Interesting selections. We're gonna get into them. I'm looking forward to it, brother. Thanks for having me on. I always appreciate it.
Always, always. Let me put you here, and then I need to, I guess, make my camera just a little bit bigger. That's not it. The fuck. There we go. Move myself right here. So we got Joe to the right today. Let's see. Let Tom and AP cook. Talk that shit, bro. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So let's get into it. There is some other NFL news that has transpired over the last couple of hours. There's actually one that just broke within the last few. CBS's The NFL Today is now bringing in somebody that just recently retired. He's been working as an analyst recently, but there are two people that are out. Longtime analysts Phil Simms and Boomer Esiason are out with CBS, and Matt Ryan is in for the network's pregame show moving forward. Ryan will be joined on set by host James Brown, Nate Burleson, Bill Cowher, and JJ Watt on a part-time basis. Burleson and Cowher also had expiring contracts. Look, he's done a pretty good job so far. His life after football as an analyst for CBS, so congratulations to him. I don't know. Phil Simms and Boomer Esiason are both guys that I really couldn't get into watching a pregame. I always used to watch Fox as a little kid, but doing the whole podcast thing now, I'll do a pregame or do the fantasy stuff, so I don't really get to watch any of the networks that do their pregame shows, but it is what it is. In other news, yes, I know it's not Raider news, but it does kind of have to do with us because we have to see this guy twice a year. The Kansas City Chiefs have extended All-Pro and Pro Bowl tight end Travis Kelce a new 2-year contract extension, which makes him the NFL's highest paid tight end. Not too happy about it, but at the same time, we got some weapons of our own at the tight end position, including the 13th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, Mr. Brock Bowers. You're going to hear that until he's no longer a Raider, so get used to it and get used to it quickly, okay? Let's get into it. Let's talk about this draft class, our 2024 draft class. I have my grades. I've done my assessment on these guys. I really do believe that minus the quarterback, we still did a very solid job with this draft class. I really have no complaints right now. Bowers was a head scratcher for most of us, including myself. And like I said, when I finished the live on Thursday night, I sat back for a little bit. I assessed, I evaluated, and I'm like, you know what? This makes perfect sense. And shout out to Joe, because he had been talking about it for a couple of days about us potentially getting a receiver, like maybe in the third round, but like a weapon of Brock Bowers' caliber, that's a guy that can do it all. Like, when was the last time we saw a tight end run a 75-yard end around for a touchdown? Like, let's be real here. Dude is definitely a special talent. Again, he was the best player available. I'm happy with it. Joe,
I
what do
think
you
I think
got?
people's initial reaction was because what it was because there was your choice of defensive players, any one of them on the board, and Fuaga. Look, the Raiders tried to trade up to the number 2 and number 3 spots in the draft. That's just what they did. There's no takers. Washington was locked in on Jaden Daniels, and New England was in on Drake May at the end of the day. So they said, okay, we're gonna let things fall where they may. Now, I was it you? I was talking to you or somebody else, but there was some report that they said that came out that there was like a gentleman's agreement that between 8 and whatever they weren't going to take Penix or something like that. There's no such thing as that in the NFL. Just like um, you can't draft somebody for somebody else to take somebody else. Like that's an unwritten rule. You just do it if you make a deal. If you want to make a deal, you gamble. So the Raiders were in a position where they could get arguably, and I say arguably because you got Malik Neighbors and Harrison and Rome Dunze, but arguably the best playmaker in this draft at 13. A guy that you could line up in the slot and get up the seam. You could line him up outside and get him mismatched against a corner or flank him out and get him one-on-one with a safety or a linebacker. There aren't too many safety or too many teams in the NFL that has 2 linebackers that can flip their hips and go. You know, you're lucky to get 1. And for a team to have 2, that's unheard of. You have maybe the 49ers, maybe the Packers with the addition of Cooper to go with Walker. Other than that, there aren't too many teams. So for the Raiders to get Brock Bowers at that spot and what they have in store, you know, for him to use how they want to use him, I think it's a really good thing. Plus, he fits Gardner Minshew. He fits what he likes to do best, which is getting the ball out really fast and letting him get upfield. Look at the yak yards. He had, like, I think you talked about it on Friday on the live.
689 yards after catch. Like, who does that?
Nobody. And that's the tight end that you got. Now, keep in mind, look, you have Kittle, Kelsey, Andrews, and then you got some young guys, Musgrave, Kraft, Command. You got Bowers. He fits that first group though. He's going to be a mismatch. Teams are going to have trouble with him. Michael Mayer. They're one of the probably 2 or 3 best young tight end duos in the NFL before they even play a game. So I like the Bowers pick. I think the more members of Raider Nation, now that the dust is settled, emotions are out of it, they're like, okay, we like this pick. Again, this is a guy that could have gone anywhere in he could have gone. If he would have gone to the Chargers at 5, people would have been shitting bricks too. Oh my God, another weapon for Justin Herbert. Well, now you got they went O-lineman, and the best tight end in a number of years, maybe a decade, fell right into the Raiders' laps. And credit Tom Telesco for letting the board fall, not panicking, not reaching, and taking the best player on the board, no matter if it was a position of need or not.
Salute to Space Beast on the $2 super. Brock toting the rock to the Hall of Fame. Book it. Wow. That is definitely a hot take, and we'll see. Like, I wish this kid nothing the best with us. Like, I'm excited to see him on the field. I will tell you one thing. Going into camp, they do have their work cut out for him as it pertains to the tight end position, because you did bring a guy in last year in Michael Mayer. You traded up for him in the 2nd round, and he was supposed to be another intricate piece as well for this offense. Now you have a guy in Brock Bowers. You can line up on the slot and still have Mayer out there. You can do different type of stunts. I'm sorry. You could do different type of formations and put him pretty much anywhere. You could even line him up as an H-back or even a fullback as well. I'm here for it, but the one thing that I'm intrigued and excited about right now is the competition going into this camp. You will see a competition for that tight end spot regardless of how long Mayer's been here. The fact that Bowers was drafted in the first round, you're looking at a quarterback competition right now with Minshew and O'Connell as a result ultimately of not getting another quarterback. Realistically, if either one of those guys were going to be a backup, they would have been competing for that spot anyways, but now both of them are competing for that number one spot. Let's go on to the rest of this draft class. We also got another guy that a lot of us, especially you Raider Nation in the chat, we did these mock drafts. A lot of you guys are like, hey, let's trade back into the first. Let's get Jackson Powers Johnson. He fell to us in the second round. The reports came out that the Raiders did reach out to center Andre James, who recently signed a 3-year, $24 million deal, pretty much letting him know, like, yeah, we're drafting this guy, but you are our starter. And when it was announced, when the selection, when the pick was in for Jackson Powers Johnson, he was mentioned as a guard. So I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. We watched the dude throughout his career at Oregon. He is a dog, had the highest graded college center rating per PFF at a 91.5. This dude is another one that is ready to go to work. I'm looking at him, and I don't know how you guys are going to feel when I give this comparison, but he definitely has that bully in him. I'm kind of seeing like a Richie Incognito 2.0 for us on the offensive line. Joe, what do you think?
I was thinking Incognito was or Wisniewski. That's the vibe I get from him. Look, he was the best center in this draft class, and it was the best center. Then there was a big gap, and then the next guy. And credit to Lesko and AP for doing the respectful move and calling Andre James.
Unlike the Falcons.
Well, we can get to that later. But the Falcons did call Kirk Cousins. They did call Kirk Cousins. But the fact is, for me, was they went and not only they solidified two positions, because what happens now is if something happens to Andre James, you have your backup center and a guy that can come in and fill in admirably for a long period of time, and you never know. Because I think that the James deal it's a 3-year deal, but technically it's a 2-year deal. That back end year is just for cap purposes. And I like the fact that you get a guy that is physical, strong, tough, but he plays with that badass attitude. Like he's a guy that, again, we talked about guys that you want to have with you walking down a dark alley, as if you're in the seedy part of town. He's one of them guys. He really is. And the fact that he fits the culture, another culture. I mean, these are two guys that, between Bowers and him, your first two picks are guys that are hard workers, guys that bust their ass, guys that teammates love and opponents hate playing against. So again, culture fitter. It was a good pick. I did something interesting. I did an exercise. It was the only work that I did yesterday, the only bit of work, and it was very minimal. I went through the 8 picks, and I looked at the relative athletic score for each of those picks. And I wanted to see if there's a correlation of getting high-end athletes and drafting where they were, getting drafted in the round that they were. It was incomplete because Bowers didn't have a RAS score because he didn't do certain things. Neither did Jackson Powers Johnson. And there's a couple other guys that were incomplete. So I couldn't technically finish the exercise. But between the guy we're getting into next, Glaze, and the guy drafted after him with the Cameron, I think I said his name.
I feel like I'm gonna be butchering it too. I tried pronouncing it to myself the other day. I want to say it's DeCamerion. I could be wrong.
DeCamerion.
I believe it's DeCamerion. Yeah.
So like between those two, the athletic scores are varied because one with Glaze it wasn't high, and with DeCamerion it was high. So between those two, but I like the Jackson Powers Johnson pick. I think that may be no, it's not my favorite pick as far as value, but it's right. I think it's in the top 2 or 3 of the picks for me, from a value standpoint.
I like that one. Yeah, DJ Glaze. Look, we doubled down on day 2 with the linemen. We know that going into this draft, what the needs were. It was a quarterback. It was offensive line, linebackers. It was corners. They doubled down on day 2. Realistically, Glaze is another guy that was a tackle, but he's a bit lacking as an NFL tackle. This guy, this is the one thing I love more than anything else, and I think you and I have had this conversation in the past as it pertains at least to our offensive linemen. They look to get guys that are incredibly versatile and you can plug and play them anywhere on the offensive line. When it comes to DJ Glaze, like I said, he's a bit lacking for an NFL tackle. He's a guy that you're probably going to see plugged in as a guard from time to time, rotating in, or if his number's called, God forbid one of our guys go down, it's going to be him, which I have no complaints about. We needed to build up the depth chart and solidify this offensive line a lot more. Like, we know our right guard position has been terrible over these last few years. You had Greg Van Roten this past year. Before that, you had Alex Bars. When it comes to Andre James, look, I know I've said my piece on him at times, but overall, he's not that bad. Like, he's one of the top ranked centers in the league. Like, you got to give the man credit where his credit's due. We move on. We took, excuse me, guys, in the 4th round, 112 overall, DeCamerion Richardson, or like Dominique 5 just said, and salute to them, D. Rich. We needed a corner. We needed a corner. He had a career best 75.9 PFF run defense grade last season. He only missed 3.9% of his tackle attempts last season. So we know the guy can tackle and he doesn't miss too much like some of the guys that we had previously, or guys that just did that Olay shit on tackles. Marcus Peters. A piece that we needed. I've talked about Jacorian Bennett coming into year 2. What are we going to see out of him now? I still think that we still needed that much needed depth at the cornerback position. What are your thoughts on DeCamerion?
I had him in, if you go back to the initial mock that I did, I had him going to the Raiders. I got him around 7. Like, that's how far he slid in that mock. And I liked him then. 85 tackles, I believe, last season. 4.34, 38.5-inch length, arm length. Yeah, like 10.8, I believe, or 11.8 broad jump. Checks up all the physical tools. Now I will say this: he may have only missed 3% of his tackles, but tackling is something he needs to work on. AP made him aware of that on their phone call. If you heard the phone call, or that's one of the things that I pulled the curtain back for you a little bit. Like, I showed you the Zoom that after every pick, as beat writers, we get on and we're able to listen to the players and ask questions for stories, and that was something that D. Rich did talk about. And I want to say this too about Glaze and JPJ. When you were talking, the thought hit me. I think, and this may be a clip for you, just because I've never said this and I've thought about it. Now I'm finally just going to say it. I think Getsy's offense is going to look much different than what you've seen with the Bears, because he actually has a quarterback that can throw. Now, remember, he came from Matt LaFleur, and he learned the Shanahan-style offense in Green Bay. He went to Mississippi State, came back to Green Bay, and then got the job in Chicago. In Green Bay, he had quarterbacks that could throw. He knew D. Rich. He was there, had a relationship with them. So the tie-in right there. This offense is going to be a lot like what you've seen in San Francisco and Green Bay and some of those other places, Tennessee, or was Tennessee, Atlanta. All their offensive linemen are cross-trained. It's a staple of the line. So to get someone that started 17 games at left tackle and right tackle in Glaze, that's 34 career starts in equal on each side of the line. We said this was a deep offensive line draft. So they must have felt that they can shore up that offensive line earlier. And then because the depth of the corners in this draft, which this corner, I mean, there were some undrafted free agents that got taken, guys taken around 7 that were probably day 2, maybe early day 3 guys in most years. We can shore up those areas of need later on. So to get D Rich in round 4, I think between him and Bennett, you got guys that are sub 4.3 guys. You know, these guys are running a 4.3 range. I think Bennett ran in the 4.2s last year. You got guys that can turn and flip their hips and run. Jack Jones is a 4.4 guy. Normally, Jack is built different.
Jack Jones.
So I think between those 3 and then Hobbs, you got a nice foursome right there. No Diddy, and you got guys that all bring something different to the table. But the one thing is they all play like they're animals, and I love that. And with Bennett, to me, the only issue is he's grabby. That was the issue at Maryland. So put the boxing gloves on him in practice and let it go. I mean, look, old school football people know, as I was a corner coach for years. So for me, I'll bring the boxing gloves to practice, put them on the players, and that stops the grabbing and clutching because they're forced to work their jam, flip, and go. So, I mean, and look, the one thing about Rich, I think he's going to get better because I think the corner, well, I know for a fact the corner coaching with the Raiders is a lot better than it was at Mississippi State.
So we're talking about the cornerback room. Shout out to Dan in the chat. He said we still need a vet like Xavier and Howard. Now, we were just having this conversation on the phone about an hour ago. And we kind of both said what we said in regards to, and somebody else in the chat where I lost it, Space Beast, Xavier is a known me-only player, not a fit for AP. We talked about it. Share your thoughts on this. He's not a guy that I would take the flyer on right now.
All right, so you guys, like Hammer and I talked for about 45 minutes this morning, just homie talking, and we're talking, and somehow this got brought up. And I said, and I want Raider Nation to know, June 2nd, there's an additional $24 million that gets dropped into the salary cap for them. So you're looking at roughly about $36 million that they can go out and sign somebody after June 1st. That could even be higher if they decide to extend Devontae and rework a contract or 2. I said to Hammer, if they wanted to add another receiver because that receiving room is thin, well, Odell Beckham's out there. Get him for 1 year at the right price. You put Odell with that group. He doesn't have to be the number 1 guy. He could be the 2 or the 3. Teams still have to worry about him. And I brought up Howard. And we both said that, and I even said it, Howard is not a locker room guy. Now, here's the problem. Here's where I would have interest with Howard. Veteran minimum deal, and he's going to have to deal with AP. So that's what, $1.3 million or $1.8 million for 1 year. For someone like that to come in, and everyone knows it's AP's team. There's no doubt about that. There is a good culture there, and check it out. Kristen Wilkins is there. He's somebody that knows how he moves and maybe be a good, I don't know what the relationship was like, but maybe a good go-between between the two. Would I do it? If he knew the parameters in place already, I would definitely consider it. If he doesn't, then there ain't no way I'm going to touch the dude.
Salute to everybody in the chat. If you haven't already, break them thumbs, hammer that sub, smash the bell. Salute to Q on the $10. Salute Hammer, believe it or not. I asked my nephew about DJ Glaze about a month ago. He said he's good. He won't hurt us. I'm going to ask him about Shepard. Appreciate you. As it pertains to Odell, this is another guy that, look, last year with the Ravens really didn't do much and was making $17 million. If the dude is like humble, and I know you had said that his teammates seem to love him, but somebody else in the chat just asked, and shout out to Dominique 5, what about the services of DJ Chark or McCole Hardman? We need a speed receiver. Would you take a flyer on one of those guys?
Not Hardman. You see what he was doing with the Jets, and then what he did with Kansas City last year during the Super Bowl during that week.
Yeah.
Now I'm cool. DJ Chark, again, there's another guy that coming out there were attitude issues, questions with regarding him. It's not like Jack. With Jack, there wasn't attitude questions. It was maturity questions. But the thing is Jack's a loyal dude. So if you're loyal to Jack and you ride with Jack, then you're going to get the best out of him. And if you're honest and Jack respects you, I don't think that necessarily was a question with Chark. That's an interesting name. I just think for me, I look at Odell Beckham and his skill set, and it's unique. It's unique because a little known secret is him and Devontae have always wanted to play on the same team with each other. There was, when he was a free agent, the year he signed with the Rams, he was literally had a flight book to Green Bay to sign with Green Bay to play with them, but the Rams just made a more lucrative offer, and that's where he went. I think you put him in Tay with Myers, and then you still have with Myers, you still got Merritt or Bowers. I mean, there's 4 or 5 right there. You can substitute Merritt, put Bowers in the slot with Tucker, Odell, Myers, and Devontae. That's a scary. If you go 5 wide, like good luck. Who do you roll coverage towards? There isn't one. You can roll it to Tay. Now he's got his pick of the litter. Minshew or O'Connell has their pick of the litter. I'm just saying, for me, Odell is intriguing, and I think he wants to go somewhere where he can reestablish some value. I think he knows he's not going to get $17 million a year, not after last year. But I think he could see this as a place where he can reestablish himself as a very good player. And again, everywhere he's gone, his teammates love him. There hasn't been a place where his teammates are like, yeah, he's a piece of shit. He's not a good teammate. It's always been the opposite. I think the perception of him was what we've seen in New York when he's with the Giants, where he's losing games and he's getting pissed. Well,
fighting with the kicking net and everything.
Yeah. But think about this. Is that not what AP wants? He wants guys that don't want to lose. Yeah. He wants guys that play with passion, that play with fire. Guys that losing is unacceptable and they get pissed when they lose. He was that type of player. So I don't know. I think there could be a correlation there. I'm putting my Joe Stradamus hat on right now.
You have a couple of other people that they're throwing some names out there. Taj Boyd, Michael Gallup. What about guys like that?
Boyd, maybe. Gallup, he's washed.
There you have it.
He's washed.
So
what he didn't do shit in Dallas. Jerry Jones don't let real good players leave. Jerry Jones pays. He let them leave. Like Mike McCarthy's system is really receiver friendly. Like what? Wasn't he injured the last couple of years as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're saying I owe further than both of them to me. Or hey, here's an idea. Hammer, you brought it up earlier on the phone. I'm gonna steal your thunder. Why not? Because you got that extra money. Make a trade for T. Higgins after June.
The only thing is with T. Higgins is you automatically have to give him a contract extension, and I don't want to break the bank for him. That's like the same thing went with Brandon Ayuk, and everybody was on the Brandon Ayuk train. But I'm telling you now, he would have been a guy that was going to be getting or commanding money similar to that of A.J. Brown, who just got, a 4-year, $96 million deal with about $84 million guaranteed. I'm not doing that when I have Tay on the books, when I have guys that I have to worry about potentially re-signing next offseason. I don't want to go through that right now.
Like I said, there's 35 plus more $1 million in salary cap space, and you could roll that over to next year. Don't get it twisted. I mean, whatever it would be next year, I don't have above the cap or over the cap up on my computer right now, but that could. I mean, again, and I don't know who's out there who's going to be out there next year. I mean, there could be. They may be saying because they may think that hey, we could go get a quarterback. I seen someone that posted on Twitter an interesting idea, and I thought it was intriguing. Why not, if middle of the season he's not going to be on the field. Why not approach Atlanta about a trade for Penix then, or after the season?
That ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna
Atlanta's
happen.
known for drafting a quarterback, in the first couple rounds and trading him away before they start a game for him. I mean, it worked for Green Bay with Brett Favre, right?
We'll cross that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Let's move on. Let's get through the rest of these draft picks. We got Tommy Eichenberg, the linebacker out of Ohio State. I'm sorry, the Ohio State. I don't know why that's such a thing, but whatever. 75 combined run stops in 2022 and 2023, the top mark among Big Ten linebackers. He also amassed 29 tackles for loss or no gain, which ranked third in the Big Ten. Now, I know this is a guy that you weren't very happy about. For me, I played linebacker. I like what the kid is capable of. Good angle pursuit. He likes to be involved. He loves the chase downs. Another good piece for us. If his number's called, what are your thoughts and why don't you like this?
Because that's where I would have used the pick on Jordan Travis. If I needed a quarterback and he was available, that would have been the spot to use him. And I think he's a guy that you maybe could have got a little bit later. I think I don't think he's a jag, but I think that you already have Spillane, who is the same type of player.
Somebody actually in the chat just called him Spillane Jr.
Yeah, you can't have a team full of Spillanes. You have to have somebody with a different skill set around them. That's why Diablo and Spillane play well off each other. One's super athletic and a freak. Another one is a hammer, no pun intended. And then you get another side. I would have went with someone more athletic. But look, he's an old school football player, and I like that about him. I don't say I don't like him as a player. I just would at that point I would have went if I really wanted to upgrade my quarterback position and looking at how everything was falling at that point, that's when I would have went and got Jordan Travis. And I think that's the only reason I don't like the pick. And that's just a personal preference. It has nothing to do with the player itself.
Salute to AP12 in the chat. He says, Shador or yours or Ward or Milrow next year. I'm sorry. Huge UT fan. Ewers, no.
I think the Raiders.
I think I'll watch him. I'll watch him this coming season for however long he stays healthy for. Had he not gone down with that shoulder injury last season, he would have been in this draft class. And now, as a result, I guess he knew that his draft stock was going to drop, so he's returning to UT. And kind of breaks my heart because I'm really excited to see what Arch Manning can do for the Longhorns. But I don't think Ewers is that guy right now. Again, I will watch him this coming season, and we'll see what the possibilities are. But as it stands right now, Ewers is not a guy that I would have on my radar as the next quarterback for the Raiders.
I'm not going to say – look, next year's class, I'm going to say that I've watched Cam Ward at Washington State. I'm not enamored with the way he throws the ball. I don't see the arm strength. It's a different way of throwing. I don't know. And his size, he's a little undersized. With Urs, I like him, but I'm not sure how much I like him. And I say that only because anybody, to me, and this is just a personal thing, and it was like this with Caleb for a second too. Well, it wasn't like this with Caleb. I take that back. Urs transfer from Ohio State back to Texas. Was he scared of the competition there? Was there somebody there that they recruited that he didn't like, or was he just homesick?
You mean quarterback wise?
Yeah.
Bro, he got to Texas and he was instantly a starter. Like I said,
that was my point. Did he run from Ohio State's quarterback competition?
Maybe. You know what? Maybe, because we saw Spencer Rattler do the same exact thing when Caleb took over for him in the Red River Shootout, took his ball and went to South Carolina. Who drafted him again, by the way? The Saints? Good luck with that shit.
So, and the reason why I was late to come on a little bit. I was on a phone with a college coach, and he was calling me about a player that's in the transfer portal. I just want to tell you how they think. Okay, I'm going to tell you the thought process, college and NFL guys. And he said, "Oh, yeah, we're not interested." And I'm like, "Okay, why is that?" Because he transferred. So if they hit the portal, just like NFL guys, we're not that interested in them. They're running from competition. They're running from something. That's the perception of guys that hit the transfer portal. So that's my thing with Ears. Now with Shedeur, here's my problem. And I love Prime. I don't know if there's a bigger Prime fan than me, that's in this chat around in general. I love what he did at Jackson State, taking a job and elevating HBCU since I went to an HBCU. I don't like the daddy ball aspect. And I see a lot of that with him. I question the process time with Shedeur. It's like he waits for guys to get open versus throwing them open. And now I know but then I think about connections now. Well, he works with Tom Brady. They get on calls and stuff. Well, Tom's about to be a minority owner of the Raiders. That can make a lot of sense. But Deion is going to try to play Shedeur where he wants him to be. And I don't like that aspect of it. I personally think the Raiders starting quarterback after this season, if it's not Gardner Minshew, is on another NFL roster currently.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't know who.
That's definitely a hot take because I've thought about it the last few days, especially since this draft. I'm like, maybe Gardner Minshew was like that bridge gap, and maybe not next year's draft class, but maybe the following year could be the year that they're trying to get a quarterback. But what do I know, right? So we move on.
Well I'll say real quick, just because we were on that part real quick. When I had Vic on was it Thursday?
Yeah. Salute to Vic Tafer, by the way. It was a pleasure meeting him and look forward to working with him more down the road as well.
Yeah, like Vic even said that the way Gardner's contract is, it's not the 2-year deal was really a 1 year. It's really a 2-year deal. So I think they're paying him the money to be a starter. So again, I genuinely think that they're going into this with, okay, let's see what Gardner can do. I likened it to the Baker Mayfield signing with Tampa Bay, betting on himself.
Hell yeah.
Seen what Baker and you've seen what that turned into. I liken the signing with Gardner Minshew in the same way. And then maybe not next year, but maybe the year after, where you will have some other guys that are available. So I don't know, but I don't think the next year's quarterback group, and I would love for Shedeur to be great. And if it's here in Vegas, great. But I don't see Cam Ward being that guy, and I really don't see. I don't see Cam Ward at all being that guy. And with Ears, I do think that there might be, but it comes down to he's got to answer a few questions.
My thing with yours, and I guess this is another, and Wasted has given me a hard time about this in the past, and salute to him. In regards to, there's certain schools where I am the person that will shit on a school because of their previous quarterback history as it pertains to these quarterbacks going to the next level. Now, USC is a school that I've questioned for nearly 20 years. The two fairly decent playoff type of guys was Mark Sanchez and Carson Palmer. The rest of those guys were all flops. I said it about Ohio State. I had to retract that when it came to CJ Stroud with what I saw from him when he was at Ohio State, and then to see what he did this year carrying the Texans, Offensive Rookie of the Year, and getting them into the playoffs. Like, that dude definitely changed that narrative about the Ohio State quarterback. Now, as it pertains to Texas, and again, I'm a huge Texas fan, but their quarterbacks, the last quarterback that was like a legitimate starter going into the draft was Vince Young. You have Colt McCoy, who I absolutely loved the kid when he was at Texas, a backup. Sam Ehlinger, I don't even know if he's still in the league right now. But again, a lot of those guys seem to be backups, and Ewers, again, depending on what he does in his last year at Texas, what his draft stock is going to be will ultimately dictate where he could potentially be, whether it being a starter or a backup for his NFL career when that comes in 2025. Like, that's just my opinion on it. You guys can kick me off the cliff like 300 if you want, but that's just how I feel when it comes to certain schools and the quarterbacks coming out of those schools. So let's move on. We're almost done with this draft. Round 6, the 208th overall pick. This guy has been referred to or comped as a poor man's Eckler, which I just am like, I don't know how I feel about this, but we're talking about Dylan Laub, running back out of New Hampshire. This is a Long Island boy. He's actually further east from where I grew up, but this is a guy that I'm looking at as having a role on special teams, especially with the new format of the kickoff. The dude, he can run. He's a receiving threat. He could be utilized in the backfield as a swing back. He tallied more than 700 yards with 23 forced missed tackles after the catch last season. I think it was a sneaky pick, but again, this is a guy that we could see as more of a special teams guy and maybe in that rotation of our running backs this coming season. What are your thoughts on Dylan or Dylan?
Dylan. He spit out fire. No, I think that, I think the kickoff rule thing is interesting because I believe that what you're going to see with the kickoff rule is one returner in the back and then the second one be a running back. And that because running backs are normally going north and south. They see a hole, hit the hole, everything develops in front of them. With return men, it's almost like they know the way the wedge is going, but they're going to try to bounce around. So I think that's where his skill set comes into play. He's an elite pass catcher off the backfield. You guys, Raider Nation, loved Hunter Renfrow, who, by the way, is still out there and not signed with anybody. So what does that tell you?
Who's that? Who's that?
Renfrow.
Ain't nobody want him.
So this guy could do some of that stuff out the backfield. Look at Eckler early on. That was his role with the Chargers. Get the ball out in space and let him go. I like that. I like the kid's enthusiasm. I like the fact he bet on himself. Funny thing out of high school was when Eli Manning was that went to Long Island for something, went on that side of the city.
Yeah.
He was the kid that was called upon to catch passes from him. So there's a little history there. Like he's probably got some good advice and maybe has talked to the Mannings a little bit about what it takes to be a good pro and whatnot. So look, I love a good story about someone that bets on themselves and comes out on top. He seemed to have done it. And I like his exciting personality. He seems like he's like a genuine cat. So I can rock with that. So I didn't mind that pick at all.
I'm curious, I'm going to have to do some homework on this kid because it's been a while since I really paid attention to Long Island high school football. But I'm wondering if he was one of these kids that was on the All Long Island team when they played the city every year. I'm going to have to do some research on this kid. Like I said, he grew up out in Suffolk, which was the next county, but he was on the far end. So I definitely got to do a little bit more homework on this kid, but I'm, again, a Long Island boy. I'm incredibly happy for him to be in the silver and black, and he's definitely excited to be with us as well. So we will see what happens.
He's got to get that right because he kept saying silver or black and gray, and no one corrected him.
We're gonna have to teach him, man. He'll learn. He'll learn quick. He's only been with us 2-3 days. He's gonna learn. He's gonna learn real quick. We move on. Our last two picks in the 7th round, 223. We took a safety in Trey Taylor. Now I had sent Joe a text when that pick went in, and I thought it was the last one for whatever reason, but I was messing around with the drafts. So you guys had saw a lot of the times in the 7th round, I was taking a safety. So I was like, oh, okay, pretty much what I saw coming at the end of our draft. He's like, no, we got one more pick. I'm like, all right, well, we still got a safety. He won the Jim Thorpe Award for Best Defensive Back in college football in 2023. He earned an 89.0 overall grade via PFF, Fourth among all safeties. On 39 throws into his coverage, he allowed just 22 catches for 202 yards and 1 score. Another guy that a depth piece at the safety position. We know Epps and Merrick had it locked down last year. Merrick played his best career year last year with the Raiders. He's going into the final year of his contract. This is another guy that we can definitely see as a rotational piece. He will come down and hit you if he has to. And again, he's definitely known for breaking up passes as well. What were your thoughts on the Air Force, man? And salute for your service. What is your thoughts on Trey Taylor?
I got a chance to watch him 3 years because Air Force is in the Mountain West and I cover UNLV. That's like my primary responsibility, one of my primary responsibilities with franchise. And he's all over the place. He can move. You have to be aware of him. He's got the bloodlines. He's Ed Reed's younger cousin. So he's got bloodlines, and the guy's a ball hawk. He goes up. You have to acknowledge him. But he's a ball hawk. He can go up and get it. He's not scared to hit. I wonder if he's going to be a guy that they can throw into the slot as well and even keep Merrick and Epps out there, because he's got that type of ability. So he can, I think he could play either safety spot. He's versatile. And he's tough. Air Force, they don't really produce non-tough guys. Yeah. So he's going to come up and stick you. That is one of the 3 picks that I thought was great value. And it was the best value pick overall. But I really liked the Taylor pick.
So our last pick, and then we're gonna give you guys our overall grade, and then we'll go through the list of the UDFAs, and we got time. We're gonna open up the vault line at some point as well. But our final pick of the 2024 NFL draft was MJ Devonshire. He's actually out of my cousin's alma mater in Pitt. So over the last 2 years, he forced 18 incompletions in coverage, the 6th best mark among ACC corners. He also allowed only 45% of the passes thrown into his coverage to be caught, the 6th best mark in the conference. Look, we've talked about needing guys that can play coverage and play coverage the correct way. This is another guy another additional piece at the cornerback position that can definitely turn some heads for us. Joe, what are your thoughts on MJ Devonshire?
Playmaker. I believe he started off at Memphis and then transferred back to Pitt, where he's from. I don't know how they let him out of their backyard, to be honest with you. He is a guy that is another ball hawk, and he turns that into 6. I think he had 4 interceptions returned for touchdowns in his career or something like that. It's some crazy amount.
Damn.
A little thin built, but he's tough as nails. I think he's scheme diverse. I think you could put him outside, you could put him inside, you could put him in press man, you could play him in off coverage, whatever zone scheme you want to run. I think he's a guy that could potentially come in and get some major tick this year for them. This was by far my best value pick for the Raiders, just because I thought he would go way earlier. He may not be a 4.3 guy, but he's a 4.45 guy, so he's still blazing fast. And again, you can't teach playmaking and instincts. That's a natural thing, and he has it. I love that pick.
Well, look, we know that realistically, and I don't know if it's going to change going into this season, but our base defense has been the 4-2-5 with Patrick Graham. Now, we know that when he first had his first interview after being hired by us, he said he pretty much does a little bit of everything, but primarily we see a lot of 4-2-5, which is an upward trend, especially knowing how much of a pass-friendly league this has become over the last couple of years. So let's go into our grades, our overall grades for this 2024 draft class. And welcome to the Black Hole. Welcome to Raider Nation, to all of these players. I'm going to give this draft, and the reason I'm giving this grade is because we didn't get a quarterback, but realistically, it is what it is. I'm here for the competition between Uncle Rico and Officer Farva. Give me a liter of cola. I'm giving this draft a B plus. What are you giving it?
Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit different because I don't like grades after a draft. I've never done it. I like to wait a couple years. But from a excellent being best to a shitty being the worst, I think it was very very good. It was the draft of necessity. You don't need to draft the splash pick to make it a great draft. You just don't. There are certain teams that for instance Minnesota people love their picks, but they only have 4 picks in the draft, I believe, and because they took 2 in the first round, you love it. Like they have other needs. So I like everything that the Raiders did in this draft. There wasn't, again, other than two hand Tommy. I really don't have a problem with any of the picks. And even with that, it's just I would have taken a quarterback there. That's just me. And then you wouldn't have got a linebacker. So I mean, it is what it is. But very, very good draft of necessity, and you filled a lot of holes. The Raiders filled a ton of holes. Offensive line depth, secondary depth, you got another running back, and then you got arguably the best playmaker in the draft. You can't be mad about that at all.
Shout out to David Zahn in the chat. I'm going A. I've called the first round pick exactly 4 times in my 50 years, so call me what you want. It's my grade. Go yourself with all due respect. I fucking can't, bro. Yo, I love it. Tommy was a steal, period. Look, Brock was a steal. Powers Johnson was a steal. Like, that kid should have gone 2021. We got him in the second round, and I couldn't be happier because it was a guy that a lot of us, including myself, definitely wanted on our offensive line. Granted, he'll be playing guard, and God forbid James goes down, then he takes over at center. But I'm incredibly excited right now. I said to Joe earlier, I wish that training camp started today. I'm very intrigued to see what they're going to be doing in regards to this offensive scheme. I'm very intrigued to see this quarterback competition between O'Connell and Minshew. Hammer, you didn't say his name right. Paul Heyman would be upset at you. Hold on. Let me do it the right way. I'm sorry. Brock Bowers. There you go. Like that's never going to get old. And I'm going to have to train myself and constantly tell myself in my head, I have to do it just like that as long as he's a Raider. And I am here for it. Again, congratulations to all these guys that were drafted. And again, we do have a list for the UDFAs, and there's a quarterback on here. He's probably not going to last like Chase Garbers did, but whatever. Carter Bradley, the quarterback out of South Carolina. Clark Barrington, the guard out of Baylor. Andrew Coker, tackle out of TCU. Jeff Foreman, the receiver out of Arkansas State. Tamari Fox, the defensive tackle out of North Carolina. TJ Franklin, defensive end Baylor. Amari Gainer, defensive end North Carolina. So they got a little combo of interior and edge out of North Carolina with the UDFAs. DeMarcus Governor, corner out of Northern Iowa. Litatrick Griffin. I actually like that name. I think it's pretty dope. Wide receiver out of Mississippi State. Jake Joaning, guard out of Furman. Ramel Caton, receiver out of Tennessee. Will Putnam, center out of Clemson. Phelan Sanford, safety out of Nebraska. Noah Shannon, defensive tackle, Iowa. Jaquan Shepard, corner out of Maryland. Kind of reunite him with Jacorian a little bit. Ron Stone, defensive end out of Washington State. And cornerback Rashad Williams out of Texas Tech. So, again, I wish training camp was here today, but it's not. We still got a couple of weeks before we start seeing these guys on the field. But I think with this new regime, especially with AP at the helm, we've already seen a lot of our vets are in the facilities pretty much every single day. I hope that a lot of these guys, especially those 8 draft picks that we got, are heading to Vegas and getting themselves to work as soon as possible. Like, I am here for it. But these guys, you guys saw the thumbnail. Let's go to work. All right, let me connect this and we will go ahead, bro.
While you can point this out, Bradley is the son of former Raiders defensive coordinator Gus Bradley.
Is
So
he?
there's a tie-in there. Yes.
Uh-oh.
And McKittrick, I believe, was recruited by Getsy to Mississippi State when he was the offensive coordinator there. So again,
Full circle.
there. A lot of times it's who you know, or more importantly, who knows you. But yeah, the Bradley one, I found that interesting. So I don't think if Josh McDaniels wasn't hired as a head coach, I believe Gus Bradley would still be with the Raiders.
So we're going to do this for a little bit. Let's say we do it like 15, 20 minutes at best. Let me get this up on the screen for you guys. Again, to me, a solid draft. But now it's time to hear from you, Raider Nation. Vault line, SeatGeek Vault line is open. 347-471-0361. Call in, sound off. Let's hear your thoughts about the draft. Is there anything that you're disappointed in? You can give us your grade as well. Again, it's up there on the screen. 347-471-0361. Call on in. Let's see if I'm missing anything on here, and I don't think I am. Salute to the over 200 we have in the chat right now. If you haven't already, break them thumbs, hammer that sub, smash a bell. You see it in the top right corner. 65 away. 65 away from 9K. Again, we hit 9K. We're going to do another raffle like we did this past Thursday. And again, salute to Ty Davis on winning the 2024 Raiders draft hat. 9K, we're doing another raffle, and that raffle is going to be for the 13th pick of the 2024 NFL Draft. The Raiders select Brock Bowers. We're going to give away his jersey. Raider Nation News today. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Hammer. This for Raiders from California City. How you doing?
What's going on, bro? How are you?
I'm all right. Hey, you know what? Compared to the last 10 years of drafting with this team, this was A+.
Okay.
You know, we filled our needs. We got speed. We got height. We got strength. I don't care what everybody say. Just A+.
I think we have a competent front office finally, and that's the one thing we've been lacking for the last couple of years. Or we have a front office that has a dick measuring contest with their head coach fighting over who they want to pick, and definitely didn't happen this time around. So I'm incredibly happy with it. An A+. Again, this is all everybody's own grade on this. I do think it was a solid draft class. I did go back and forth between like an A and A- Sunday, but I came to a conclusion for me. I think just minus the quarterback. At this point, it's like I guess we don't need one. I guess they're here for the competition. I ultimately am leaving it at a B+.
There are some people out there complaining, why you didn't pick him? Why you didn't get him? They passed on him. My thing is that what AP says, I want guys who want to be a Raider. He mustn't see things in those guys they passed over. So I'm trusting AP.
Absolutely. I'm here for it, man. Like I said it the other night. I'll say it again. Like, ultimately for him, he had to check off some boxes, especially if he wants to solidify a legacy here with the Raiders. And it was being successful in free agency, which in my opinion he was. You got Christian Wilkins, which was a guy that I had on my radar as one of my 4 free agents. And I was like, Let's do this. Like, we got him. That was great. We did get another quarterback in Gardner Minshew. The guy, he's a competitor. He wants to win. Like, I understand the thought process. And then making the moves between him, between AP and Telesco and the rest of the front office, making these draft decisions and these picks. Look, you just checked off 2 boxes so far. Now let's get into the 2024-2025 season. Let's put this together and see what this team is capable of doing for years to come.
Yeah, we got dogs. We need it.
I think you brought up an interesting point, though, caller. You said, trust AP. Well, I think if you're gonna if people were gonna trust them as a head coach and Telesco as a general manager with what they did in free agency or anything else, why would someone jump off a train because they didn't draft a quarterback? Because they couldn't draft a quarterback at 13. They attempted to move up. They attempted to move up to 2 and 3. They didn't have no takers. They didn't think, other than maybe Jaden, that nobody was worthy. Penix wasn't worthy to move up 4 or 5 spots. They'd rather him get him at 13.
Well, Penix wasn't worth moving up. Maybe they saw something they didn't like, or maybe, I don't know. But the other teams was not moving off their spot. So I wouldn't trade 4 first-rounders for somebody for a guy. And this is AP's first year. That's the first year. Why trade the future? Let's see what we got this year. Let's draft. And next year we'll find somebody else.
There you go. Definitely appreciate the call.
There had to be. All right, bye.
Take care. Shout out to David Zahn, man. Much love to you. He dropped a hundo. 99.99 super. Hey, you. Sub 1, everyone. Let's get hammered to 9K. Raiders. Let's get it. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you on that hundo, bro. Trust the process until it makes you not. Yo, we're not in Philly. I trust the office. I don't trust the process.
But that's the thing. Like, I mean, first of all, AP's not the one drafting the players. That's Telesco. Like, this is who we're going to take. Are you good with it?
There's got to be players that he feels like it has to, like, he also has to agree with it, because it's got to be players that he thinks it's going to fit the mold of this team and fit what this team's mission and mindset is.
Agree, but the final decision comes down to Telesco. If he's like, you know what, he's too good, we're going to take him, or whatever the case may be, it comes down, the buck stops with him. So, because his job's on the line too at the end of the day. Their jobs are both
Agreed. And I said it a couple of weeks ago. Somebody had asked this question, who has the shorter leash? And I said, because this dude has the experience at the GM level, he's been doing it for well over a decade, I think the shorter leash is on Tom Telesco right now. I do.
I think it's the opposite. And I'm going to tell you why. Telesco does have a proven track record of drafting guys and drafting well. And that's why the Chargers are in the position they are in terms of the talent accumulation on the roster. Now, hiring a head coach, I don't trust him to do that. He hired Brandon Staley as a head coach, who was arguably the worst head coach in the NFL probably the last decade to waste that type of talent.
Mr. Go on 4.
Yeah, but to acquire talent and the talent acquisition, Telesco does a very good job of it. So I think if AP fails to be the leader and the organizational head, I think Mark will be more adept to let him go than Telesco, just because of, again, track record. But again, they're working in conjunction. They work fine together. The pairing works really well. Just so everybody's, I'm not saying there's some dysfunction, because there's not. But what I am saying, the final decision, besides Mark Davis, will be Tom Telesco.
Salute to everybody in the chat. Armando said, holding down the fort for the nation. Good looking out. Hammer time. Appreciate you, bro. I'm putting the number back in the chat. Well, I had it highlighted like a second ago. Hold on. Where is it?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it? There it is. There it is. 347-471-0361. Guys, call on in. We'll take a few more calls before we wrap it up. I'm going to try to get myself a little rest before my game tonight. Brandon Staley thought it was Madden out here going for it on every 4th down. That's a fact. That's a fact. And again, Zahn, salute to you, my brother. Salute. 64 away from 9K. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. What's with the question mark, Hammerette?
You've got mail.
See if I don't think I'm missing anybody in the chat right now. Junior was good, my guy. Salute. Oh, and I always failed to mention this. We're on X. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitch. And we're on YouTube. If you guys want to be a part of the conversation, come on over to YouTube. Raider Nation News Today. Hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you a thing.
Hey man, I know we didn't talk about this, but you did it. I know we tried to TQ and I we tried to jump on briefly after the Raiders pick from the Ghost Bar, but you did a really good job with the draft chat, with the draft show, man. So salute to you
Appreciate you, bro.
And your partner that's a Charger fan. Like, I mean,
I love how people give him
man.
a hard time as if like, because I know a lot of you in the chat have been watching me for like the last few years. And some of you guys like still give him a hard time. I think it's hysterical. Like, it's all love at the end of the day. And I appreciate those that were in the chat on Thursday night, because like when it comes to the lives that I do, I love the interaction that you guys have, but you guys are also incredibly respectful of whoever I have on as a guest. So salute to each and every single one of y'all, man. Like, yes, he's a Charger fan. That's still my guy though. Like, I was in his wedding. I looked like Kobe from Yellowstone in his wedding party. It was actually pretty funny. But much love to Jake, and I appreciate him pulling on up for that and hanging out for the 3.5 hours. I do love his reaction to when we did draft Brock Bowers. That I clipped it, I put it up, and it was like almost 8,000 views. Like that was priceless to see a reaction from somebody that wasn't a Raider fan. So salute to him, man. His reaction to Bowers was priceless. There you go.
How cool would it have been if for some reason Paul Heyman happened to be in the same city as the NFL draft, and they worked it out to where when Brock Bowers gets picked, he's the one that announces it. Like, it may have given it away, but imagine walking out, "Hey everybody, my name is Paul Heyman."
I would be dying. You know what would be dope? Like if Brock Bowers is a WWE head and he's like at SmackDown or something, and they mention it, and Paul Heyman comes out and does it, I'm gonna roll to the floor, man.
What if he showed up? What if he showed up out here to WrestleMania 41 that's happening in Vegas? Oh, did I say that publicly?
Ooh. I might have to be out there for that. Brandon said, "Hot take: Cowboys trade Dak Prescott to the Raiders for." Yeah, okay. Nope.
No, maybe not trade, but look, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but there's a guy he's going to be a free agent. They're not unless they throw another bag at him.
Yeah, and if they don't, somebody else is going to throw a bag, but the bag is going to be $55+ million a year. Nope.
But that's the going rate for starting quarterbacks.
That's the going rate for a quarterback that actually is successful. When was the last time the Cowboys were in an NFC Championship game? 30 years ago. Not trusting that, man.
I don't mind that. I don't like that. I no ties to the Cowboys, but I am saying how much of that is on Dak and how much of that is not building up a defense that can stop a run.
All of it is on Jerry Jones, because Jerry Jones runs everything. He's this title, he's that title, he's that title, he's this title. It all falls on Jerry Jones and not having a full front office to make these decisions. Like, he is out of his mind, man.
I don't know. I think that Dak in Getsy's offense, didn't he lead the league in passing last year, or he led the league in something last year?
Something.
I forget what it was, but he led the league in something. So stranger things have happened.
Gertie said Jerry Jones trying so hard to beat Al Davis. Damn.
He does.
Yo, salute to Armando in the chat. He said the Joker is wild. Brock Bowers. Go Raiders. Appreciate you, bro. All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up because obviously nobody else is calling in. At least from what I see.
Right now, I'm going to I'm curious. Okay. I'm curious because I'm wondering who next year are the available
Free agent
agents.
quarterbacks?
I'm getting to it right now. So quarterbacks, here are next year's available free agent quarterbacks. Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa, Jared Goff, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, Matt Jones, Russell Wilson, Famous Jameis, and Mike White. Those are the top 10. Jordan Love's about to sign a deal in a matter of days. That's going to put him near the top of quarterback pay. I can't get a dollar amount yet. I'm told not to. So you look at the free agent quarterbacks next year. It's Dak. Would you want Tua and his can't throw deep self and often injured?
Well, look, he wears that the Guardian cap over his helmet. He might be a little bit better protected against concussions. Now they can wear him in a regular season.
I tell you what I would do. You want to hear, and it's out the box thinking. I tell you what I would do, and I would call them up right now. I would call up Detroit and offer a 3rd round pick for Hendon Hooker right now.
Wait, say that again?
If I'm the Raiders, I will call up Detroit and offer a 3rd round pick right now for Hendon Hooker. They're going to re-sign Goff to a long-term deal.
And then get Hooker. You know what? Guy. Why not? Like, Hendon Hooker was a guy that I know a lot of people in this chat wanted in last year's draft. That would be incredibly interesting. That would be incredibly interesting.
I think we have to get off of. We have to think outside the box and not stay within the box. I think that would be something that if I'm the Raiders, I would strongly consider. If I'm Tom Telesco, again, Hooker, I thought was a steal for Detroit, but again, it looks like all accounts that they're about to lock up Jared Goff to another deal. Where does that leave Hendon Hooker?
You heard them go. You heard our teammates were going crazy for him during the draft the other night. So yeah, why not? Shout out to Brandon. Don't call the Lions and tell them you're looking for hookers. I just wanted to wear a Hooker jersey. Not sure what that says about me, but whatever. Yo, I'm done with y'all.
I love it. Keep them coming. Nah, keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Oh, look, who's the defensive back? Malik Hooker? Like, I was here for. I was like, let's sign a Hooker. Like, I do remember the plethora of Hooker jokes. Oh my God, we're done.
It wouldn't be the first time the Raiders paid a Hooker. I'm just saying. Like.
Yo, we're done. We're done. I'm sending Joe out of here. Bro, I appreciate you.
I'm in Vegas. There's plenty of Hendon Hookers out here.
Oh my God. I appreciate how we got 172 left in here. On your way out, if you haven't already, break them thumbs, hammer that sub, smash the bell to stay up to date with all your Raiders news, rumors, updates, live streams, and reactions in the house that Hammer built by the nation for the nation. Raider Nation News Today. Joe, as always, I appreciate you being on. Let them know where they can find you, bro.
At Franchise Sports Media, at Joe Arrigo FSM. Don't forget, we do the show. I don't know if there's one today or not. I can double check, but please subscribe to the Franchise Sports Media YouTube page as well. We're trying to get to 1,000. He's at 9,000. I'm trying to get to 8,000. Just with Franchise Sports Media. So come on over and check out some of the original content. I appreciate you guys having me. It's always love, man. It's always love for everybody that's a part of the show.
Continue to stay safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. COVID is back and on the rise. Remember to wash your hands and your asses. And as always, win, lose, or tie, Raider Nation till I die. Till next time, y'all. And of course, always on my New York. Peace, love, and positivity. I'm outro.